Hello girls, guys, or otherwise, this is Rich with your Witchy Book Club series. This week we are going through chapter 12 of lesson 8, The Science of Spellcraft. I have a little furry companion here that is vying for my attention in the worst way. We are going through part 2. We have cut this into 2 sections. So we are starting from page 271 in your Outer Temple Witchcraft hymnals. Go ahead and turn there. It is under the subsection of signs. So if you are following along on the Kindle version, don't know if anybody is following along on the Kindle version. I know for the next book, I will be getting the Kindle version. I think it's this is the Living Temple of Witchcraft, and I believe, and I won't be able to see it from over here because there's stuff in the way, but I believe I have the physical copy, but I am also going to do the Kindle version. Excuse me while I get my Pepsi. Hashtag not sponsored. Pepsi, if you want to sponsor these videos, get at me. I will hawk your shit all day long. But in no way is it sponsored. Anyway, Jelly, calm down. Okay, you know what? Fine. We're going to do treat time first. Because usually she gets a treat after the video. But she wants a treat now. And there, you can have a little treat right now. Excuse me. So anyway, we have... What was I going to say? Oh, for the... next book, I am going to do the Kindle version because you can do like a Kindle audio type book where you can have the Kindle read it to you. I've tried it with one other book so far. It's not fantastic, but as long as if you're following along with the text and whatnot, you can go through things a lot quicker, at least for me, somebody who is a slow reader. So I will probably be going through the book not only on the audio version of the Kindle, since it's not on Audible. Christopher Penzak, please do an audiobook version of the Temple series. But I will also be going through the physical copy that I have of the next book. I didn't want to buy it for this time because there's not that much of this book left, so it didn't seem feasible to do that. So anyway, hopefully everybody is at page 271 or at the subsection of signs if you are on the Kindle version. Before we go any further, I'll give you a couple more seconds to get to that. My little spiel. If you are not yet subscribed, go ahead, hit the subscribe button right down here. Hit that bell notification. You might get notified whenever I post a new video. Hit that like button if you like these videos. Hit the dislike button if you dislike these videos. It all appeases the algorithmic gods of YouTube. All hail the algorithmic gods of YouTube. Also, comment on the video, letting me know if you agree, disagree, have something to add or take away from anything that I say. I think that's all that I have to say on those parts. So let's go ahead and get on into it. This is probably going to be very minimally edited. Hopefully I can get through everything. I will say that this chapter has a lot to do with astrology, which I find very confusing, so I kind of skipped through a lot of this. We're going to do a lot of skipping around, but there is also a great deal to talk about. He starts off with signs. As the planets move through their orbits, they seem to occupy various signs of the zodiac. Your sun sign is the sign that sun was in when you were born, but you also have a moon sign. This is something I didn't know whenever I was first starting. It's something that I didn't know until I started watching Arwen's Taroscopes. So if you are not subscribed to Tarot by Arwen, what are you doing with your YouTube life? Go subscribe to Arwen right now. Pause this video, come back later, go subscribe to Arwen because Arwen is just fantastic. Anyway, yes, I understand the planets and, you know, in certain houses and various signs whenever you're born, all that stuff, and each one corresponds to a zodiac, all that good stuff. For practical magic, we tend to be most concerned with the moon sign. And again, not something I ever really looked at was the moon sign. Always looked at the sun sign because that's where your horoscope is and all that stuff. And, you know, whenever you're growing up and you see horoscope, ooh, woo-woos, galore. And it's always fun to read those. Whether it is something that's dead on or something that's just overall generalities, yeah, they're fun to read. I don't put much stock into them because it is for a vast audience, not just one specific person. So yeah, not something that I really ever focused on was the moon sign. Moving on, each sign represents an archetype or life, or of life, a mode of operating. There are no good or bad signs. Each is a unique and necessary part of our relationship. Each has gifts and challenges to offer, both in life and in magic. And I think this is something good to note, that there are no good or bad signs. Just as there are no good or bad tarot cards. There are certainly ones that have a little bit more challenges. There are some that have a little bit more on gifts. But overall, there are no good or bad cards. It's how you interpret them and how you react to them. They are telling you, basically, here's, you know, what's happening. This is underlying issues. This is what you're dealing with, blah, 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 all that good stuff. This is how you go about doing this, that, or the other. It is how you react to all of that stuff that really truly matters, especially with tarot. And I think the same thing can be applied here to astrology. By the way, before I go on any further, yes, there's a mess behind me. Yes, I know. I am still looking for the right desk to have whenever I, you know, have this area over here. I worked a lot last night cleaning up in here and throwing away stuff that no longer serves me, you know, documents and papers that don't really have a purpose in my life anymore, stuff like that. So yeah, I'm looking for a desk. I don't want to spend any more than like $200. To me, that seems like a lot, but I also have to be concerned about the size of the desk. Anything over 5 feet in the one direction is a little too much. I like something that was 4 by 5. I have my eyes on one. However, it doesn't have any drawers, and I kind of like my drawers as of right now. I have a lot of use with these drawers. So if I can figure out either a way that I can utilize this desk that I already own, I have a a lateral filing cabinet that I had whenever we had the store, that I might put over there, and it might be like the continual part of the desk. This little wooden altar next to the desk that y'all have seen before in previous videos whenever I did the witchy room tour, that table is going away, and I'm going to have like a little sofa table that's slimmer and can be utilized for the same purpose. That way I have more room to go around. I don't use it as much as I would like. It isn't a nice antique wooden table. However, I think I'm going to try to repurpose it with the with the filing cabinet, because it just doesn't suit the height that I need for it to make it into a desk. It doesn't suit the it doesn't suit all my needs. It's not high enough. It's just on this side of just too low, and it's not exactly the sturdiest thing. It takes up a lot of room in a room that is not huge. So yeah, I might repurpose this for the lateral, with the lateral filing cabinet, using the desktop or the tabletop on that, over in that corner. But anyway, just a little peek behind the curtain before we go on. We're moving on to page 277. This is after he talks about all the signs. He gives the signs, their symbols, the gender, the statement that corresponds with them, ruling planet, you know, is it fixed or moving, or wait, no, it's fixed, cardinal, mutable. Yeah. Anyway, any of those, what element it is, where it is on your body, and the qualities of that individual, the individual sign. So he gives a lot of information here, stuff that is truly confusing to me to try to put to memory and keep in my memory bank. So astrology is something that has always confounded me. It's always confused me. I don't understand it. It's not something that I've ever used really in my practice. So there you go. And let me look outside here. No? Okay, I thought somebody was knocking on the door. I thought it was the mail carrier. It is not. Or, for those in the UK, the postal carrier. Anyway, we're under the subtitle of Aspects now. Aspects are special angles formed between two planets and the Earth. Each angle allows the energy of the two planets to flow and connect. Each different angle creates a different relationship. And this is one reason that this really confuses me. You have, conjunction, sextile, trine, and then you have different ones like semi-square, square, sesquiquadrant, inconjunct, opposition. There are a lot of things that you have to know, and I have great respect for those who have dedicated a lot of their life to astrology, that they can look at this and make sense of it. I, however, am not one of those people. I never have been. I just cannot wrap my head around it, possibly because my head gets in the way, but it's not something that has ever really made a lot of sense to me. The thing with it is, if a person who is an astrologer who has been practicing for a lot of their life and has devoted the time and energy to studying this, I would rather go to them and take their word for the fact that they know what they're talking about, because I know absolutely none of what all this stuff says. I will definitely ask questions and I will vet them out. However, whenever it comes down to it, I have to take somebody else's lead on this and trust what they say. Just like somebody who never has studied tarot, does not jive with tarot, might go to somebody for a tarot reading and, have to take their word for it after vetting and all that stuff. Always taking with a grain of salt until you verify what they are saying is true, especially true to you in that situation. So, yes, definitely something to keep in mind whenever you're seeking out a tarot reader or an astrologer in this case. Because there is so much more talk about astrology and all that stuff, and I cannot wrap my head around it. I am nowhere near an authority figure to even talk about the subject. It is so foreign to me that I should just sit down and start reading books on astrology and whatnot. I do have books on astrology and the tarot, and still, every time I look at the book, I'm like, no, not ready yet. Nope, not ready yet. Kind of like Hagrid. I'm like, nope, should not have told you that. Should not have told you that. Yeah, so it's one of those books where I look at it and I said, nope, not ready yet. I do the similar thing with Drawing Down the Moon. Every time I see it in a bookstore, I'm like, I probably should read it. It is a fundamental book within witchcraft, and I have great respect for Drawing Down the Moon, but it's always been a subject where I'm like, okay, I'm not there yet, and I'm getting there with certain books and whatnot. Things such as writings by Aleister Crowley and whatnot. Somebody that, has been so demonized and whatnot. The guy was kind of a loon, but at the end of the day, I should still be reading those books and studying them and picking out what works for me and whatnot. but every time I look at them, I'm like, not ready, not quite ready yet. So there's a couple books that I do own that I've gotten to that point where it's like almost, and then there's some that I see in bookstores, and I'm like, maybe in a year or so I'll give it a shot. But anyway, moving on is on page 284, and it's under How Do I Use Astrological Timing? And I'm going to do a lot of reading here, and then we're going to talk about it. By now you are probably thinking this is way too complicated to be practical. I agree. How do you get the moon, sun, day, hour, aspects, and signs all to all work out? You can't. If you tried to match your spells to every factor we have covered in this chapter, you would never do any magic. It would never be the perfect time for magic. Absolutely. Moving on. Well, in my experience, every time it is the perfect time for magic. These are tools, no more, no less. Find which tools are important to you, including sheer intuition, and use them. Skipping around a little bit. Some never use days and hours. Some never use signs. Some never use aspects. Some witches use nothing but the moon and a sense of intuition. Pick and choose the tools that work for you. Use the tools that are perfect for you and make magic. If your magic is successful, you have chosen the right tools. If you are lacking the success you want, try working with a different set of tools. Absolutely. The thing with witchcraft, and the fun part of it, and also the aggravating part of it, is that you can try the same thing in a different way at a different time in a different manner, and you can get totally different results. They can be results that are very successful. They can be results that are kind of muted because of one factor or another. This is more of a science than it is, and it's an art, absolutely, but it is more of a science in this aspect whenever we're talking about trying one way or another, that you try, and then you try something different, and you measure the results. This is the science behind it. This is a science aspect of witchcraft, is that trying something a little bit different tomorrow might yield different results than the way you tried it today. So, then he has tips on spell casting, and I'm going to read through these one by one. Be careful what you ask for. Absolutely. If you don't know what you're asking for, sit in meditation, sit in a quiet space, really ascertain what you want. If you don't know what you want, how is the universe going to give you what you ask for if you don't really know what you're asking for? You get what you ask for. And this is another thing. If you are asking for he gives an example in here. If you're asking for $1 million, but you don't put stipulations on it, you don't think it through, you don't put up little barriers here and there of how you intend to get this $1 million, you may get hit by a truck, break both your legs, sue the driver, get $1 million, but you can't really enjoy it because you're, laid up for how many months, and spending money on medical bills. Anyway, think through what you want, and so you can get what you ask for, but do it in a responsible way. Jelly, I'm kind of making a video here. Can you step back just a little? Step back. Oh, no, we already had treat time. We're gonna have treat time again afterwards. Okay, sorry. Then results. Focus on the results, not the manner in which the spell manifests. What is your ultimate goal? Focus on it. I agree, but I also will say yes, and put up barriers so you don't get the negative aspects that could come with doing or the negative results that will come with not giving it any direction at all. Jelly, I'm serious now. You have to step back. Thank you. Then he says, let go. This is the situation where, if you're constantly trying to hold on to it and you're constantly like calling it back and whatnot, that you don't really let it do its job. You're constantly sitting there like, well, I'm letting you go. Wait, hold on. I also want this. And wait, hold on. I also want that. You're not truly letting it go. Let it go out into the universe and do what it's going to do. If you thought through your spell work properly and you did everything that you are called to do, if you know of how this spell is going to manifest, not putting as stringent of a focus on this is the way it has to work out, but rather putting bumpers in there saying, nobody's going to get harmed by it, I don't want any ill effects of this or that, or however, then you can focus toward, or you can put those bumpers up, but you can also let it ride the way it needs to go to do what it needs to do. If you keep on saying, I want $1 million, and then you call it back saying, but wait, I don't want anybody getting hurt. Now you can go, wait, hold on. Not only do I not want anybody to get hurt, but I also don't want it in a crime type of scenario. And then you let it go. And then you say, well, hold on. I also don't want anybody to, I don't want to get through an inheritance by, somebody dying of natural causes. And then you let it go. And then you see what I'm saying. So, let it ride. If you did the thought process ahead of time and you thought of all the ways that you can get this $1 million, then, you have already put up those bumpers in place and you can let it go and it'll bump off of those things and it will not cause, it will not cause harm. It will not be through nefarious means, this and that. It will bump off of those and it'll find the way that it needs to go to get you that $1 million. Okay. I think y'all know where I'm going with this. So we're going to move on. Remember the witch's pyramid. Don't share your spell with others unless they are of a like mind. This is absolutely a thorn in my craw on this, because people do this quite often. They're like, oh, I'm doing this spell right now and wish me luck, blah blah blah. And it's like, no, stop, please don't tell me, because if I even in an inadvertent way think of a way to counteract that, I could be putting these thoughts and manifesting things that can counteract it, even if I don't mean to. Trying to sit there and say, well, I wish you would have done this instead of this, and I don't know if it'll work if you just did this and that. Putting those doubts out there can bog down your somebody else's spells. I don't think we necessarily do it intentionally. However, it can happen. So best thing to do is keep it to yourself until the thing manifests. And then you can say, hey, I did this spell and this is what happened. These were the results, and then we can all just rejoice with you. Real world actions, another one that gets me. If you are not taking real world actions, there is going to be no physical result. If you are saying that I want $1 million through the lottery and you keep on doing this spell work for years and years and years and you keep on putting out there, if you never played the lottery, you're not ever going to win. Granted, I don't think that's the best way to go about winning, having $1 million. You're setting up a lot of situations where there can be a lot of doubt and can bog down your spell work. However, if this is the type of spell work that you're doing, fantastic, good on you. Let me know how it goes. I wish you all the luck. Please give me a little bit. If you want to sponsor me, let me know. But following it up with real world actions is huge. You can do a spell work, a spell for a new job or a better job and whatnot. But if you never fill out an application, you're never going to get a new job. You don't just happen upon a job like in the movies. It just doesn't always happen that way. You might in the rare case. However, putting yourself out there, you're going to give it a lot easier of a way to actually manifest into the job that you want. You may think that let me say this. You may think that you want a certain type of job, but the spell work, if it's going towards a different job and you don't get the job that you think you want, look back about, 6 months after you have your new job. Look at that old job. See how the people are doing there. The company could be going under or something like that, and you could be looking for another job in 6 months anyway. Look at those different types of scenarios, because there is a possibility that the universal energies and the way of the universe had different things in mind for a specific reason. Another thing is make space. New energy cannot come in if you don't get rid of old energy. Clear your home, work, relationships, and life of all unnecessary elements. This will free up space for new blessings. The old will no longer be tied to you, and both you and your stuff will be able to move on to the next phase. Absolutely. One reason I'm clearing out stuff from this witchy room, from the closet specifically, is because I wanted to utilize it. By clearing out that space, I have space to utilize for the books that I have, and have them more readily accessible than in the cabinets over here and the cabinet bag here, and they're just a little bit more accessible. I have a greater chance of actually utilizing these books, and reading them and researching through them, and bringing my own practice a little bit more closer to what I want it to be. Clearing out the space, which is a lot of what's going on here, is clearing out the space and moving things along for other things to take its place in this room that are going to be happening probably in the new year. So, yes, moving things out and creating more space for other things to manifest. Jelly, stop it. Jelly, where are you? She is clawing on a box, and I have no clue where she's at around the box, unless she's like hidden behind it and whatnot. It's really kind of strange. Anyway, yes, I have reasoning for why I'm moving things around and creating a bigger space here. Stay tuned for more of that later on in the year, whenever I reveal all that. But it's something I've been working on for the past year that I kind of think is a good thing ultimately for this channel, and for my practice and whatnot. So anyway, what was it? Magic is the next one. He talks about a person who works wonderful spells and tells me that she doesn't tells him that she doesn't really experience anything in circle that would be considered visionary, but her spells work. And he says to this: it is important for everyone to know that it's not about the special effects, it's about the magical life you lead. You may not feel that much in the... Excuse you? Get out of there. Come on, get out. Thank you. Crazy kitty. Was you in the box? You was in the box. And it had stuff on it, which is really weird that she actually went in the box. But anyway, yeah. Okay, you're safe. Now sit. Sit pretty. Thank you. No, no, no. Sit pretty. Thanks. Okay, so, yeah, this is an important thing, that if you are in circle or in ritual and you don't feel that your magic is really having that boosted effect, like in you see in the movies where things are swirling around, people are levitating, and things are happening on all levels, all that stuff. If you're not feeling that, doesn't mean that your magic is not working. It just means that you don't feel it at that time. It could mean that, hey, your magic is still going to work and you're still seeing the results. The results here are what matters. Yes, it's wonderful to feel that very energetic feeling during ritual, during circle, or whenever you're actually casting the spell. If you don't do a circle and whatnot. It is very satisfying to feel those feelings, feel that energy raising, and all the lights flickering, that type of thing, the candles going out, all that stuff. It's really satisfying to see and feel all those effects when you are doing the spell work. However, if you don't, it doesn't matter. It's not about the special effects. It is about the magical life you lead. And if you continue to not only feed the spells, but also, do the work, the real world actions, as we already talked about, things will happen. So it doesn't matter how it is in ritual. And I have a little fly in here that's just being annoying, but it really matters what the result is. Then he talks about neutralizing spells you no longer want. And these are spells that you cast out, and then you're like, wait a second, I shouldn't have done that. He says simply cast a counterspell. Write a petition asking to neutralize the previous spell. This is important for me. Like, if I send out a spell, I also want to have a way of retracting the spell work that has been cast, if need be. Most of the time, the most that's going to happen is that, oh, it just won't work. Most of the time. Sometimes you need to retract that because something bad can happen, especially if you're not working through all the possibilities, all the ripple effects and whatnot. And I have said on here plenty of times, think through your spell work so you don't have to do any of that, because once it's going, it should just run its course. And if you have thought through all this stuff, you will never have to neutralize a spell. And then recognize your magic is what he says next. Whenever your magic works, honor it, recognize it. Absolutely. You did that. Fantastic. Good on you. You did something that you wanted to do through witchcraft, through spell work, through whatever type of sources that you conjured up. You did affect change. Honor that, especially if it's good change. Celebrate that. Absolutely. Recognize when you are absolutely the powerful being that you are, when you are being the powerful being that you are. Recognize that and honor that. It's like stroking your own ego. A lot of people will shy away from it. I know I try to, because if I get too much ego boosting, then I'm like, oh, I'm just the best, blah blah blah, and then something will happen to knock me off the pillar that I put myself up on. So yeah, don't get to the point where you're like an egomaniac about it, but recognize that you do have the power, and that you did have the power right then and there, and you made that change. Next up is record your spells in your Book of Shadows, and I have a note here, simply, I am bad at this. I am terrible about recording my spell work and what the effects were and whatnot. Terrible at it. Absolutely terrible. If you're terrible about this as well, let me know in the comments below. I know that journaling about spell work for me is just something that it's the admin side, and while I do like administrative stuff, it is the absolute boring admin part of spell work. Spell work itself is the exciting part. Recording the spell work is the absolute boring part. I like the planning phase of spell work. Figuring out what you would use, what wording you would use, how everything's going to jive. That's what I love the most about spell work. Next up would be the actual casting, and then lastly the record keeping, which is boring, at least for me. And then he has here a ritual checklist. Ask yourself these questions before beginning any spell work or casting your circle. And this is a good guide overall. Where do I plan on doing this work? This is all stuff that you do during the planning phase. When do I plan on doing this work? Is the timing right? What type of spell am I doing? Why am I doing this? Excuse me. Why am I doing this spell? Do I really want it? Is anyone helping me, or am I doing this as a solitary? Do I need help? What tools or ingredients will I need? What divine powers do I call on, and why? Am I presenting an offering? If so, what? Does this feel right to my intuition? And I think that those are important things to ask. I would also add in there, what are the ramifications of me getting this? What are the possible scenarios in which I get this? And are those scenarios that I want to possibly have happen? Again, I am very cautious when doing spell work, because sometimes it can backfire in ways that you are not thinking of right now. But if you slow down and you touch on each one of those, your spell work will be not only effective, but also not harm anybody, not have ill effects that you didn't ask for. So, and then I want to go over the part where he asks why spells don't work. And he has them here similarly as little bullet points. Duration. Some spells happen overnight. Some spells take 9 months. Be patient. Unless you are putting a clock on, or a time period on your spell work, it probably isn't going to happen overnight. You're probably not going to get that $1 million one night. Especially if you don't play the lottery and all that stuff. But yeah, if you have played the lottery and that's one of the few situations where, yes, you're going to get $1 million over the course of one night. But again, not something I would suggest doing. It can feed into an addictive personality if you have an addictive personality to gambling. Just speaking from personal experience here. Mistakes. You were not clear in your intention and received what you asked for, but not what you wanted. Absolutely have had this happen to me. I think I have spoken on this in the past. Did a spell for a relationship for who I am meant to be with right now. The individual in question, he ended up basically getting a computer out of me, and I think it was $1,500 to help pay down bills, and a TV, and ended up skipping out on me. Just completely ghosted me over the course of like 1 month. Then comes back and wants to get all, buddy, chummy with me. Absolutely not. I learned a valuable lesson in financial management and whatnot from that situation in particular. I have gotten, actually it was more than $1,000, because I got all but, I think, $1,000 back from this individual. I got the TV back, I got the computer back, all that stuff. So yeah, definitely a mistake on my part in wording, and that's why I am so cautious now with spell work of, be cautious of what you're asking for, because you'll get it. Poor timing. Although your spell was good, you were swimming upstream and didn't have sufficient will to overcome it. Working with certain timing and everything, I usually say working with the timing of the moon or the lunar schedule is a good indicator on whether or not you should be doing that spell in that manner, or with that wording, all that stuff. Not always a hard and fast rule for me, but something that definitely can have an effect. I'm not negating the effect from timing of planets and the moon and all that stuff. I'm just saying that I don't usually look at that, and if I don't have a spell that is fruitful to the point that I want it to be, I will recast again another day. I do more of the shot in the dark type methods of, you shoot enough times in the dark, you're bound to hit something. Rather than, sit down with the perfect timing and all that and try to figure all that stuff out. A lot of times it doesn't always work. That, you hit the perfect timing every time, but sometimes, yeah, you hit the perfect timing and all that, and you've saved yourself the headache of trying to figure out what planetary hour am I in and all that stuff. Usually the easiest way is to go by the moon and work with the lunar energies rather than figuring out the times of different planets and the scheduling that way. That can be an annoying thing to have, so I just don't even try it. Just being completely honest. I got an itchy nose now. Who's thinking of me? At least that was always the superstition in my family growing up. If you have an itchy nose, then somebody's thinking about you or somebody's talking about you. So it was something like that. Anyway, next one is it's not for you. This spell would have harmed you or distracted you from your true purpose. This is the deity universe saying that this is not meant for you, and they just purposely block it. Not how I usually envision it, or not how I usually have things happen. More times than not, if it is not for me, I will find out directly through probably because I don't work with deities in conjunction with spell work, but could have an effect on it. But yeah, if I let something go out and I ask for something whenever it comes back, if it's not well thought out, I get things in the way I didn't intend to. So the not for you part doesn't really happen. It's not really a factor for me. Not in alignment. You might have been nervous, tired, angry, or simply sloppy in your spellcraft. Try again later. Absolutely. If you are not in the right headspace to be doing spellcraft, for one, maybe not do it is the better way. However, if you are doing spell work and you're in an unhealthy state and you're trying to do spell work to be healthy, that's absolutely a valid reason to be doing spell work. However, if it doesn't work as intended or doesn't work to that extent that you wanted it to, do it again. If it worked a little bit, then you're a little healthier and you can do the spell again. Do it again and again and again, and it will work. Also, if you're doing a health type of spell, also go see a doctor. Don't rely wholeheartedly on the metaphysical. No, that's not the way to live. No, don't do that. Stop it. Okay. On 292, no release. You did not release your intention, and now you are nervous dwelling on it. Each time you focus on it, it's like taking back a chunk of the energy you sent out, leaving less and less to do the job. Soon there will be nothing left of your thought form. Absolutely. This is what we were saying earlier. You send things out, but you're calling it back as well. This is the pure no release. You didn't release it at all because you keep on doubting yourself and whatnot. But yes, I would also say that this can be the same effect as calling it back. And then he says no real world backup. Absolutely. How many times have we seen this? People ask for a job and spell work, but they never fill out an application. Not the way of doing that. He writes here, you didn't follow up the spell with real world actions. You didn't leave yourself available to receive this blessing. You did not open a channel to it or open the door when the opportunity came knocking. You could have been offered a job. In the scenario that we're using, you could have filled out an application for a job that you are suited for, and the spell work could have worked more effectively. However, if you are doing spell work for a new job and you're sitting there doing nothing, playing video games, it's not really going to work. Unless you're, filming your video, you playing the video games and whatnot, and posting them on YouTube. Maybe then you, in doing that, have created your own job, your own little type of business where you're getting paid from YouTube for your gameplay entertainment. I will say, on that note, I want to add in a little something. If you are a gamer and you're doing YouTube, freaking good on you. I had an argument with somebody down in, whenever I was in Dover, about people not seeing the value in gamers on YouTube. I'm not a big gamer. I'm a Sims type gamer, where it's like a sandbox type game. And I told them, I said, you know, they're like, oh, these people don't contribute to society. I said, I follow one gamer, Little Simsy, who does Twitch streams and takes donations and whatnot. She does charity events, and they've given thousands and thousands of dollars to charity. So, and I looked at him, I said, you don't consider that contributing to society? How dare you? These people are paying taxes on what they make. They are keeping people entertained. This is a way for people to veg out and, you know, see something enjoyable. Maybe follow a storyline that they find enjoyable. It is a form of entertainment. And how dare you tell them that they are not contributing to society? They absolutely are. It's just not in the way that you want them to contribute to society, but it's totally a valid way of contributing. Anyway, off my soapbox for that one. Then he has exercise 32, create and cast your own petition spell. I have already done petition spells. I've been doing them for years. It's one of my favorite methods. Homework is do exercise 32, continue journaling, but now note the moon phase and sign. Learn your own personal cycles with the moon. Certain signs may be more powerful for you, while others are more difficult emotionally or magically. Through an astrology book or program, learn your own moon sign. You may find when the moon is in the same sign as your own sun or moon sign, or the opposite sign of your sun or moon, is a noteworthy time for you. Learn your own cycles and patterns. This can be very important, especially if, like, I know that, you know, during the new or the full moon, things in this household are a little bit different. When things are, you know, a new moon, things are a little bit different. Just like knowing Mercury retrograde for certain people is not a time to be doing things that deal with communication or contracts, or it affects them in a different way. Me, I've not really had the effects of Mercury retrograde really affect me in that way. So I don't know why, but Mercury retrograde just isn't something that really affects me in the biggest way like it does other people. And then he has here regular altar devotional and other regular meditative practice. Practice divination techniques, and that is the end. Divination techniques I do practice on the regular, more or less, depending on what it is and what I need, and, you know, the situation that I'm in. Currently, I am actually reading on the transparent tarot that I've already done a review on. I find it very confusing, it's not confusing as much as it is just different. It's layering different cards on top of one another and whatnot, but I'm doing that more in an artistic style. I'm doing that more as a writer and a storyteller than actually for my own divination purposes. As for altar devotionals, I haven't really been doing devotionals out in my altar, as you can see. Things are kind of piled up because I need a place to put things in the meantime, while all of this is getting situated. Because once all of this is situated, everything else has a little place to go. One thing I do want to say on making space for your spell work and whatnot is, you know, it also works in the physical, in the mundane. Later on this month, I am actually helping somebody move some furniture. I have a hutch, a little small china hutch, that's in the garage right now. And many of these boxes that are over here that you can't see on screen, they are filled with stuff that need to be in the garage to be sold on eBay and whatnot. Link below if you need anything from eBay. But this stuff is stuff for eBay that's over here in these boxes. And once I meet up with them to move some furniture for them, from one store that they're in to another and all that stuff. They're people I've worked with in the past, and a very nice couple, and they pay me, fairly well. I think they usually do about $15 an hour, but we kind of there's times whenever you kind of just slough stuff off and whatnot. Where we just sit around and BS, and they count that towards the time. So since they aren't slave driving, working me, I told them, I said, I need this hutch out of here, and they repurpose furniture. So I have a hutch in there that is going to just be given to them, because maybe they can, fix it up into something else or repurpose it in a way. They deal in furniture, so they know people who want furniture. Maybe they can use it in a display, because I'm not in any of the co-ops anymore, in any of the antique stores anymore. I'm purely on eBay, and posting something like a hutch is kind of a harder thing for me to ship, and I don't really want to deal with something that large to ship. So I told him, I said, yeah, you know what, you can just have it. I need the space more than I need this hutch that's just taking up room and going to end up having glass broken because, it's sitting there. So making that room makes room for this stuff to be put in there, in that spot that I can make money on. And will also free up space in the witchy room so I can do other things, again, near or on the new year, doing other things that I've been planning to do in the witchy room. It will also afford me the chance to have the room for a new desk and whatnot. So, one thing helps out with another, helps out with another, helps out with another, that type of thing. So I wanted to speak on that. And if you all have a certain type of desk that is around, $200 or less ish, that you really, really like and that you think I would very much enjoy, let me know. Let me know in the comments below, is it on Amazon, which is mainly where I'm shopping, just because of the type of desks and the shipping and all that. If you know of one, like the certain brand and all that, I want something that's like an L shape. So, give you a little perspective. Need room for the computer to sit, need room for extra activities, and if it has drawers, fantastic, even better. But yeah, leave the name and all that down below. It won't necessarily allow you to leave links, but if you can leave a link, I will approve it whenever I get to the computer and whatnot. So do let me know if you have one that you are satisfied with, or that you see that you think I might enjoy. Leave all that below. Otherwise, I think I might just try to reuse the desk that I'm currently using in a different manner and whatnot. So anyway, that's enough rambling for me. I just went off a little tangent there of, the witchy room and how I'm progressing and all that. Anyway, with all that being said, join me tomorrow for our Christo-Pagan Sunday. And yeah, we are going through biblical, the canonized scriptures for this week and next week. So do join me for that. I think it is going to be a good study to do. So anyway, join me for that one. And even though you have probably already seen it, I am about to film the intro and outro to our unboxing video that for something that we bought online, mystery box style. And yeah, I'm about to record the intro and outro for that. So anyway, if you haven't seen that one, check yesterday's, I guess. Time travel, fun, yay. Anyway, until next time, may you have love, hugs, and ladybugs. Bye.